Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 235. Today we are talking how to build the confidence to take your next step in property development, whatever that is. You could be beginning, you could be onto your next development, you might be wanting to step up and do bigger developments, or maybe that big dream that many have and many of our students have done, take the big step and go to full-time developing. So today we will unpack that and you will leave feeling invigorated and excited. Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 235. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm going great.
Oh, it's pretty early.
Thinking about a good day ahead. I'm expecting good things.
Yes, we are. And for you listening today, if you're listening as it's rolled out, it's early January 2026. And how exciting is property development in early January 2026? I'm thinking, because this is recorded before the end of the year, but I'm thinking we're supposed to have settled on the 9th on something, and we do have a 2-week extension, which is great because it's pretty hard to settle this time of year, hey?
Yeah, around Christmas, everyone's on holidays.
Yeah, and because it's there's a few shareholders and there's a bit that has to go on, so I'm a little bit relieved actually that we got that 2-week extension. But by law, they actually can't. So there's something that time of year. It's a legal requirement. If somebody asks for an extension, they have to grant it, don't they?
In this part of the world.
And is that just Queensland, Bob?
Yeah. But it could be in other states. But it's a state thing. Yeah.
So it's kind of a bit of a relief, isn't it, when you're under that pressure toward the end of the year, and not just with professionals. And, you know, we have done settlements on Boxing Day and all sorts of things, but with this one having numerous people involved in it, and requiring a lot of signatures, and it's going to get a little bit niggly. So I'll have to give everyone a bit of a heads up. But anyway,
well, that's your problem because that's what you do.
Yeah, yes, for sure. And today we're talking about how do you build the confidence to take the next step. And if you think about it, crikey, Bob, and we laughed about this yesterday because we're getting finance through the NAB, which is a little bit. We're very lucky to get that. But the stuff that I had to do, the hoop jumping, the legal requirements, the letters I had to write, we even stood back and you said, holy heck, haven't you come a long way? You know, go back sort of 5 years, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, when I was reasonably new to development, and now dealing with finance at the level that I do, and even studying. We're going into some study. Probably about when this is released, we'll be kicking into some study around, you know, financial works for our own reasons. So, and that's all of us, me, Bob, and Aaron. That's something that I have grown so much more confident in myself, and that's really what we're going to talk about today: how you take that next step. You know, what's funny? Even as I say that, Bob, it just happened for me.
Yeah, well, it's organic.
Yes,
I mean, it didn't happen. Being you wake up next day and there you are. It's like you said, it's been a gradual process, and it's not over.
No, crikey, it's not over. But I definitely feel a lot more confident with it. And for you listening today, you know that the proof's in the pudding for all of us, because we all started off as that new person or somebody who had only done something. You know, it all starts somewhere, and those building blocks of confidence happen on the way, and we will talk about that. But before I do, crikey, I hijack the podcast. Bob, what's your tip for the day?
Oh, I guess it's got to be something about confidence, something about team. Maybe you can help me out here. Building blocks. I'm trying to come up with something that's relevant to what we're talking about.
A tip about building blocks. I mean,
building confidence. Something.
I suppose as you build a development, let's say we were doing a brick one. Each one of those building blocks makes that stronger foundation.
Yeah,
maybe around there.
So is that what? That's like confidence. It's built.
Yes, confidence is built.
Maybe you can get hypnotized and suddenly get it. I don't know, but it is. It's like the building blocks of a building. Just more bricks. More courses, more layers. Means you can step out further and bigger.
Yeah. And I believe it's such an internal game. It's such a mind game. It's very much what happens on your head. And as we were just talking about with my journey, it's been organic. It's just evolved because I'm working in the industry all the time. But for people that aren't in the industry all the time, there is that feeling, isn't there? You know, they want to do property development. They've thought about it for ages, but they just don't take that first step. Bob, do you remember your first lot of nerves, or when you first decided you wanted to do it? What went on in your head? And I know it's, quite a way ago, but can you remember what it was like for you? You were obviously lying in the bed because you'd had that car accident, and the thoughts were property development. What went on? Like, what was the positive and what was the negative that went through the story in your head?
Well, I came to the conclusion that financially I was in a bad way after being off 18 months in the car accident. I had to earn money, and I came to the conclusion of property development. But when it came to do my first one, I was sort of lucky in that I felt like I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof because I didn't know what I didn't know. If I really knew what I had to know, I might have been a bit fearful. So I actually went into it fearless because I didn't know any better. And I had an element of desperation to succeed, I guess. And so a bit of luck, bit of everything, got me there. So, and that gave me, when I did my first deal, because I did my first deal, as it turned out, as a lot of people know, a vendor finance deal, and I did it with no money and made plenty of money out of it, and that gave me a lot of confidence, probably a fair bit of false confidence in there as well, because it turned out so well, and I went in there fearless, and there's a few speed bumps in there, but I dealt with that. So I only became aware after that I should have been maybe a little bit more cautious than I was, but it worked. It worked fine.
Yeah, but you just brought up those wee speed bumps. And like everybody, when you hit a speed bump, not everyone carries on. Or, if you're far enough into you probably were far enough into that first project that you didn't have a choice, because you don't have a choice sometimes. But let's go back that step. So you were lucky. Before you started, you were 6 foot tall and bulletproof, and you didn't know what you didn't know. So you just kind of bumbled into it, and you were so lucky to have a good experience. But you also had a mentor working alongside you, and he helped you. And that was lucky again. But there we go. Every time I say that word lucky, it's not luck, is it? I mean, we create our own luck, and you created your own luck by going back to the office, getting into the industry. So you mapped your way in. You went back to the office around Christmas when everyone else was at the Christmas party, and you said, I'll take that time slot. And the guy happened to walk in. So you created your own luck by putting yourself out there into that space. So, I mean, that was just perfect. And then the speed bumps happened while you were already on your journey, so it was too far in. But you were very lucky. Had you not had a good experience at the end of that, which a lot of people listening, and oh gosh, I talk to people all the time that have had a go at property development, and they know they made so many errors, and it stops them moving forward. So you were lucky that you didn't do that. Have you ever had a time in your development career that you've thought, I just don't want to do this anymore? It's too stressful.
Only temporarily. When I had a builder go broke on me, and I had investors in a project, and it was a sizable project, and I hadn't experienced that before, and that brought in a lot of fear, I guess. Like, it's the first thing to happen when you realise you're a third of the way through a decent sized project and your builder's gone broke. It's happened twice, and it's been okay. What it did is it cost me money in the respect that I didn't make the profit I was going to make, because what it costs you when that happens comes out of your profit. So it wasn't a loss, but so that was, when that first happened the first time, that was pretty scary. But then I was able to check in on a few people. I knew a few experienced people, both in finance and construction. Came up with a plan and went to the financier, explained the problem first, but hey, I've got a solution. That's what you got to do. You don't go to the financier and say, oh my God, the builder's gone broke. I went to him probably a week after I found out, and I said, the builder's going broke, but I've got a plan. And the plan was how I was going to go from there. So that was my first big shake up. That's not a speed bump or a detour. That's like hitting a wall and hoping you're okay.
Hitting the wall at a reasonable speed.
Yeah.
Yes. which was actually what you did, and that's how it led you to there, ironically.
Mm.
So people listening, let's even go back that step. You want to do property development, but you haven't. Like, why haven't you? What stopped you? And I think there's a lot of myths around why people don't get started. Well, I think there's two things. There's myths, and then there's the story, their own personal narrative. So what do you think the biggest myth is, Bob, for people that want to do property development? What is the thing that people think in general?
Well, some people might think it's too scary. Property development, lots of money, things go wrong, you lose a lot of money. They'll like that whole, don't really understand what it's about, therefore make that conclusion because they've read an article where a developer went broke. They probably didn't read the other 100 articles where developers made a lot of money because that's not news.
No.
So I think that sort of a thing. And so it could be fear-based. It could be just simply a lack of knowledge. They might think, look, you could have millions of dollars to be a property developer. They don't understand that it's creative ways of doing it. And so they could be just sitting there doing nothing because of just a misconception.
Mm. Yeah, there's that. So those are very common myths. I agree. They're the two big ones. Like, it's too big I wouldn't even know where to start. I think that's one. And then there's also, I think, that little old me story. I've never done anything before. How could I even do that? And that's what I think a lot of people also have going on the inside, which isn't a myth. It's one of those internal drivers. It stops them in any form of success because you're not, if this is you, you're not actually realizing your potential. I know for a fact that everybody has far more potential than they realize. I absolutely know it. We're all capable of so much more than we realize. I just recently won the 5 Stevie Awards, an Able Book Award, and the BASA, and made a finalist in the Australian Women in Business. Like, they are huge awards. There's so much, but you know what that did for me? Those, when you read what you've done, you're like, holy heck, crikey dicks, that's massive. But what happens to people is we forget on the way, even that journey yesterday, that what I had to do yesterday, and then you saying, wow, look at you go. You don't realize, and what people need to do is recognize the small wins. I even talk about it in my book, actually, 3 Wins In, writing that list of all your achievements, even the little things, because what they do, it's like, oh, I can do that. I am actually quite successful. I can, and it can just start with anything, depending on how old you are. If we had to write a list. In fact, I think you have, Bob. The broker needed to see a list of your achievements once to put forward for a larger project. And he was like, holy heck, Bob, jeevers, and you said that wasn't even all of it, that what you've done. But we forget, as human beings, we forget what we've achieved. You look at a mum has children, they juggle, many go back to work. There's so much going on in a woman's world, and they just do it. And a dad, same thing. And that pressure of needing to support a family. And we do so much without realizing. So recognizing small wins is what I'm saying, is one of the major strategies for people wanting to believe in themselves a bit more, to know that they're capable of anything, because we all are. Like, did I know I could write a whole book? No, but I did before ChatGPT or any sort of AI support. Like, that whole book was all of my information. And I'm not saying that it's negative to use any AI, and it probably could have been better had I used AI, had it been around. But we are all capable of so much more. So do you do that yourself, Bob? Do you ever look back and think, oh, yeah?
Well, sometimes I think you have to. I think it's a human thing, and the listeners and viewers might agree.
You mean the non-human listeners? No, might disagree.
Human listeners. Your mind goes back to remembering some things that went wrong. It seems to do that a lot easier than to remember all the things that went right. And totally disproportionate.
It's 3 to 1. Is so there is research around this. I don't know if you knew that.
No.
But so for every one negative thing, it takes 3 positive things to cancel it out on your what's the word I'm going to use? Like your mental state, your emotional well-being, the way you behave. So it's not 1 to 3, which is unfortunate. So any one negative takes 3 positives to cancel out. And yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, so I've seen it in practice, but there's some stats behind it there that you just gave me. And it's possibly because of that, but I think if you thinking about property development, some people just cannot visualise themselves doing it. And that can be for a lot of reasons. It could be, as I've seen in some cases, their upbringing, the people around them. They've come from, quite a poorish upbringing, and they struggle seeing themselves breaking free from that. Not just financially, but the mental chains that they can carry. And you have to visualise yourself as a successful property development. I mean, visualisation's a whole subject and 50 books in itself. But otherwise, if not, you can move into the imposter syndrome area.
Totally. And you just touched on something that I'm quite passionate about. Like this stuff, I'm quite passionate about all of it. But you have to behave, not just see yourself. You have to start behaving as your future self. You have to behave as that person, because if you have been brought up in a way that isn't success driven for numerous reasons, whether it's lower socioeconomic or just with parents who just didn't encourage you to step out, step up, move forward. And if that's been how you were brought up, and then you want to become more successful or do something that breaks that narrative, breaks out of that, then you have to start behaving as that person. So you need to see yourself as that person in your head. Like, I can see myself do that. Then you have to act as that person. Does that person drink a lot, do drugs, sleep in, can't be bothered, whinge about their job? Is it that person, or does that person think, right, how do I take my first step? What is that one thing I need to do? And the journey of 1,000 miles starts with just the one step. And like the brick that you were talking about, every time you lay one brick, you start building that internal confidence, which is the beginning of your journey. So yeah, so right.
Yeah, so these are things that could be blockages in even getting that first step going.
Even if you're thinking about property development, you're not ready to invest in yourself, as in, get a course or something like that, but it's something you want to do. Just here is a really good tip. Just start looking at it. Just start looking at realestate.com or wherever it is that you like to look for properties, and think, okay, that's how much properties cost. Just start taking an interest. Most people generally do. Show me a person that doesn't. How many people don't spend their time on realestate.com? I don't know. But if you're not, then do that. Start putting your foot in the water. And then when you drive past places that are being developed, look at them and think, okay, crikey, down the road from where we are, there are so many developments going on right now.
This is something I don't think I've ever told you, but a lot of people know that it all started with me when I had the bad car accident and came out of that and got into property development. But even before that car accident, I just had this interest in building, in construction, but not like a builder does. And I used to often pull up, particularly on a weekend, where things were being built, and I'd even sort of sneak around the gate. Back in those days, the safety fencing wasn't what it is now. People could just about wander onto sites. And I used to do that. Even I can remember even going on a site before they poured the slab, and I'd have a look at the footings and the reinforcing, and then we'd come back a week later, the slab would be down. I'd just drive around, even look. And I used to be able to buy books of all sorts of plans, house plans and all sorts of stuff. I used to buy those and look at. I used to design stuff in my head. So even though I didn't realise it at the time, and I wasn't thinking property development, I was building up some sort of
confidence
or some sort of relationship between me and the built form.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps when you said that, Bob.
Yeah.
Like, you're so like full body goosebumps. That is so true. Yeah. That's building block, laying those building blocks.
So when I did have my bad car accident, I was on my back for quite a while and thinking about how I'm going to get out of it, how I'm going to make a lot of money. I did think about other things. I thought about stocks and shares and all sorts of ways of making money, but my mind and my heart just kept going back to to property and real estate.
So there was that passion for it.
Yeah, but I only just remembered when you were saying that. That's what I used to do, even beforehand.
So interesting that it was the car accident and lying in bed that made you realise it's now. I'm going forward now. So that got you taking action. Had you not had that car accident, I wonder how that journey may have gone. Do you think you would have gone there sooner? Well, you know, I'm talking about taking action, which is a problem that people have. Seriously, it took me 1 month to put on social media, on my LinkedIn, the information that I did about winning the awards and going to New York. That took a month. What stopped me taking action? I know what it was, but there was all of those things that everyone has. For me, it was a bit of analysis paralysis and wanting it to be perfect and just way too much on my plate because I've got 3 deals. I'm spinning some plates. I feel like a Greek woman with plates on my fingers at the moment.
Don't break them like the Greeks love to do. It's
No.
it's not a wedding.
Yeah, so there's
It's a circus act.
There has been a bit going on leading up to the end of the year. And it was like, and so that became a non-priority for me. Probably it was a non-priority because other things are on timelines and they are a priority. So your car accident made that a priority. Do you think that you would have, and this is for you listening now as well, you know, what's going to inspire you to take action, because we don't want people having car accidents. What would have triggered that for you, Bob?
Well, I've often said it was a bad thing, that car accident, because when the police arrived, they thought I was dead, but I fooled them. And it was also one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because it actually forced me into a position to have to make a decision. Had it not happened, would it have ever happened? It's hard to predict. But at the time, I was cruising pretty well. Single guy, I had 3 cash businesses, I had money fine, doing well, and enjoying life and not thinking too much of the long-term picture. A bit about the long-term picture.
You were 22 though.
I was pretty young.
Yeah.
So I think it probably would have happened, but it would have happened later and would have happened slower. And I don't quite know how that would have gone. It's not a bad thing, as it turned out, that it happened the way that it happened. But it's like that closing door thing, you know, like life can go in so many different directions. Every time it goes in a different direction, you take then 6 other directions. So who knows? But I'm sort of happy it went that way. I didn't think so when I was lying on my back all that time and then on crutches and rehab and all that sort of thing. But
yeah, it's been interesting, 22, because we just got a new mentoring student, Christy, 22.
Yep.
Going into this like full on successful woman already. In her own right, has her own business, and I know she listens. Hey, Christy, it was great meeting you yesterday. But she's 22 as well. So if that's a story that, you know, you started and got there from age 22, and that's probably another one of those myths that somebody's too young or that they're too old or they're too whatever. And I love saying that because we do have a list of things that we give ourselves the myths of. It's not always age, but it can be. So, Bob, what would you encourage somebody to do? Like I've just said, number one, if you're thinking about it, start looking at it. Build a relationship with property if you don't already have one, meaning looking at realestate.com, meaning driving past developments, having a look. What would you say would be something else, somebody, you know, to take that next step?
Well, some people are pretty quick to take steps, and some people dwell and mull for a long time. So definitely don't think about it and mull for too long about it. But yeah, I think you're right. Look, there's not a lot of books on it. You can have a bit of a read. I just got inspired by just going around and seeing, looking at activity. I mean, that's really what sparked my interest, even though I didn't realise what was ahead of me and how quickly it was going to happen and forced to be happen. But just understand that there's a big place for property development in Australia. People have to live somewhere. You know, I keep saying it, 2 things, requirements for life, food and shelter. And we create shelter as property developers. And so it's a good, honest, beneficial thing for society, being property developers. And so just like getting out there and just getting the feel of it, even like walking around. I used to walk around the streets. I used to go, I lived in Brisbane, and like there might be suburbs like St. Lucia at the time, whatever it was. There was a lot of development going on or wherever. I'd just wander the streets. I go to subdivisions and I go into display homes. I could spend hours walking in and out of them. And I didn't realise that But I was just absorbing it all, not realising that pretty soon that would help me make that decision that had to be made. So that I was forced into a decision. Most people aren't. Christy, same age, didn't have to have the car accident, smart enough to get in there without one.
Yeah, go Christy. Do you know a really good idea as well? And let's pretend you're 120 and you've just passed on in life. You've just your life's. I'm saying 120 because why not? Yeah, so you're 120 and you've just died, and if you can't envision that, well, then you're 105 or 99 or whatever the number is that you want it to be. And write your own eulogy that you would love to have read out, that you actually prepare for yourself or somebody prepares for you. But how did your life go? And it could say, I was really lucky. God, I love that word. That just comes so naturally to me because I always believe that I am incredibly lucky. I was just really lucky. I listened to a podcast one day and they told me to write my own eulogy, and it made me realize that I have control of the direction of my future, because you do. And even as I say this now, I'm getting goosebumps. You have absolutely the ability to control your future, and you may not think you don't, but you do. And then you can map it out how it was. It was that day that I decided, heck, I'm sick of thinking about doing property development, or I'm sick of thinking that I'm only going to do that one, or I had a not great experience, or I'm thinking I'm going to do this better, I'm going to do this well. And I decided to get into property development. I found a podcast, Property Mastermind, with Bob Anderson and Hilary Saxton, and I listened to the whole 235 of them at the time. And then I was like, that is my destiny. I booked a call with their team if you want to go that far. But I went on to do property developing, and I started off with townhouses, and then I did that 3 times, and it was such a great model. I made money and I changed my future. But from there, I went on to doing X, Y, and Z, and write that out. And what that meant was when, my children could go to the school that we took overseas holidays together, and we built this amazing lifestyle, and now my children do it with me, and it's just the best thing that I ever did. That could be your eulogy. And as you say that, that's giving you an idea of how you want your life to be. And we forget to do that. We forget to plan what it is that we want in life. And we wake up and we do our do over and over and over. We get out of bed, big stretch. Oh, morning, crikey, better go do that. Oh, I go to the gym and then go to work and come home, and then it's Friday and I have a couple of beers and I do blah, 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 blah. You go and repetitively do over and over. But to create change, you have to realize that you're just one decision away. You just need to make that decision, and it's like that inertia. It's that beginning. That's always the hardest part, to start that momentum. And so what Bob talked about earlier, become interested, getting on realestate.com, driving around development sites, going through open homes, start building that confidence of, I can do this, and then start building the future you. Because once you've mapped out how your life went for your eulogy, then you've just created your future in advance, and it's possible for everybody. And you may have had a go and you didn't have a very good first experience, but it doesn't mean every experience would be like that. So, my favorite saying is, why not you? And you're just one decision away from having the lifestyle you want, the future you want, if it's property development. And if it's not property development and it's something else, well, then do that. But don't waste your life thinking, oh, I wished I had, or I coulda, woulda, shoulda, or none of that. It's just too small for regrets. Crikey, this has turned into a big one for me. But I'm so passionate about this, and I so believe in it, because I've seen so many people change their life and choose to do something different. We've helped so many people go from their job to full-time property developing. I mean, they're so happy. They choose the life that they want, and they get to do the thing that they want. So if you're thinking about it, that would be a really good thing to do. Write that eulogy. Write that story of how your life went. It can be 100 words. It could be as long or as short as you want. But what that will do, it will get your mind thinking of, crikey, I better do this. Because if that's what you want, write down what you want your life to be.
And make it a good one, and then just reverse engineer it back to now.
And take little tiny steps.
Baby steps.
Baby. Absolute tiny steps. I think this is a really good topic for this time of year, because, we work with some exceptional people, and it's just so exciting to just see the journeys that people have, whether they're investing in our projects, whether they're doing their own developments, we're supporting them through that. But every single one of them is just excited, and it's life-changing. And when they get that payday, it's, Kyle, wow, so many good things happen to good people. So I'm getting very philosophical now. But I think, is there anything else we can add to that, Bob?
No, because this is your area, that you're the expert in this, and thanks for carrying the podcast. You're passionate about it and you believe in it, but we see the results every day.
Yes,
of that being put into action, and that's why we do what we do as well. Some people say, "Oh, you guys, don't you make enough money out of property development? Why do you do the education stuff?" But the enormous satisfaction we do out of that, out of exactly that, seeing people come in it's like a little plant just coming out of the ground. I used to grow veggies when I was a kid. Every day I'd go and watch them and put water on them, watch them grow and grow. And that's what we see that all the time with the people in our community.
Yeah,
and that's a big buzz for us.
That's so exciting. And just young couples like Jess and Andy Barrett. They're young and they've got this small child, and they're off on a fabulous property development journey. And so many of our mentoring students, they just do so well. And, it is really exciting. But they planned ahead and they decided what they wanted. And it doesn't matter if you've left it a little bit late. It's never too late to rewrite that eulogy and create the future that you do want. You just start behaving like the future you and go for it. So, Bob, I think we can wrap up 2:35. I got all excited now. I want to go start writing some stuff down.
Go and write another book now.
Yeah,
get out there.
Bob, I'm thinking about it, but it's holidays, and I know it. You'll be like, can you stop? All right. Well, that's the end of episode 235. I hope you're a wee bit inspired. You just got to build your own confidence. We've given you some great tips. Dylan Campbell, the book's on its way to you. Thanks so much for the chat this week. And we will catch you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.